And in today's video, I'm going to be hitting you guys with every single Warzone 2 setting you guys need to be successful. Before we even launch the game, I want to show you guys a quick setting that I know a lot of people actually didn't even know. So this is going to be for my PC people first. This is going to be your display settings on Windows. Make sure that your actual settings in Windows match the hertz of your monitor. So I have a 240 hertz monitor, so that means that my refresh rate on Windows should also be matched at 240. So what you do is right click, go to display settings, go to advanced display settings, choose your monitor, which will be whatever gaming monitor you have. I have the Dell A12721D, which I'll link down below, but make sure that you go to refresh rate and make sure this says what monitor specifics refresh rate you have. Like I said, mine is 240, so it's on 240. All right, let's hop straight into the first segment, which is gonna be the controller settings. Now, I'm not gonna try to teach you guys or tell you guys what keyboard and mouse settings you should use. That may be for another person because I suck on keyboard and mouse. I'm a controller player, but let's get straight into it. First things first, turn off controller vibration. This will make your shot shakier. I have not seen any person that is a good player, in my opinion, that has controller vibration on. Make sure that you have off controller vibration. This does not help you whatsoever. Going down to my current sensitivity, I play on 10.85. In my opinion, 1010 is probably the maximum sensitivity you should go up to. I like, obviously, because I'm, a more faster paced player, being able to kind of control my aim and make sure that if there's somebody behind me that I can kind of turn on them quick enough where I can still get a kill. I've seen people play on 15-15, 20-20, and especially with a very, very fast time to kill like Warzone 2 has, I feel like there's a lot of room for error in your aim if you play at those high sensitivities. I would say maximum 1010, but honestly 6.6, 7.7 is the honestly perfect spot to be, in my opinion, for sensitivities. I think some people actually have their aim down sight behavior to toggle instead of hold. I've seen that before. I don't know why. Make sure this is on hold. I played on automatic tactical sprint all throughout Warzone 1, and even though there's no really slide canceling, I still have my automatic tactical sprint on because it helps me honestly just be more fluid, and since I'm so used to it from Warzone 1, it helps me with the transition to Warzone 2. These last two settings on the controller tab are hands down the most important, and they actually come default with the wrong settings, in my opinion. So when you go to interact and reload behavior, it's usually defaulted to tap to reload. Make sure to change this to prioritize interact. This is basically contextual tap in Warzone 2. Change that to prioritize interact because if you are going up to chest and things like that, what I do is I press my square button, obviously, but it is a back paddle for me. Instead, what that would be you would have to hold to interact to things, whether that's opening chest, opening doors. But now with this setting, prioritize interact, you can just click the button one time, and that's going to open a chest, pick up ammo, all that stuff instead of holding. The next setting, which is very, very important, is your armor plate behavior. This is usually defaulted to apply 1, which means every time that you plate, you're going to have to press triangle or a paddle for me to put on a plate every time. So if somebody cracks your shield and you have to put on 3 plates, you would then have to press triangle 3 times, or be putting in a plate, press it again, putting in a plate, press it again, putting in a plate for 3 plates. Way too much effort, and if there's a lot of things going on, it's much, much harder to kind of focus up and see where you should be doing while you're plating and running and things like that. Make sure to put this on apply all. Going on to the advanced controller tab here, I obviously have on target aim assist. If you're on controller, turn on aim assist. I don't know what you're doing if you have it off, but this is another important setting that I've seen a lot of people do. A lot of streamers and creators have been saying to switch to the Black Ops aim assist. In my opinion, you can try it out for yourself. Default is way, way better. Now I'm seeing a lot of people change back to default, back to black. Keep it on default. Now going on to the aim response curve type, I have mine on standard also. Again, I've always just kept my aim assist and aim response curve types on the normal default, because once you get into kind of trying to change those, I feel like it can be inconsistent in your aim. So I have both of mine on default and standard. Again, you can try other ones if you want to, but that's just for me personally, and I think the best ones. Going on to the Deadzone controller settings, I have my left and right stick all the way down. I usually put it on 0.0 or just 0 in general, but because I've been getting a little bit of stick drift, I have it on 0.02. Basically what stick drift is basically if you've been using a controller for a long time, that your controller is recognizing that you're pressing or moving your sticks when you're not. The thing about Deadzone is, for me personally, is I put mine as lowest as possible. Again, I have it on 0 usually, because that means that you, when you're fighting and taking gunfights, will have consistent aim all the time. So now going down to the left and right trigger, I have mine also on 0.01 because I have mouse click triggers for my JoeWo Scuff controller. If you guys want to check that out, down below, I have a full customizable range of Scuff controllers, Xbox Ones, PS4, PS5, and it is the JoeWo version, which is pretty cool. But I have mine on 0.01 because I have mouse click triggers, which basically are mouse clicks for your controller. Also, in the controller tab is going to be the invert, slide, and dive behavior. On standard, this goes as tap to slide, hold to dive. Now, in Warzone 2, as we know, the movement is a little so diving is the most important. Dolphin diving is the #1 movement right now. You should never in any circumstance be sliding in this game. You should be pre-aiming, jumping, diving, doing anything else but ever slide because it is pointless. So what inverted does is that means that you can hold to slide, which you really never have to do, and then tap to dive. One more setting in the controller tab that I think a lot of people have on is the parachute auto deploy. Make sure have this off, because if not, when you are flying in, your parachute will get pulled higher to the ground than if you had this off. You could actually click X and pull your parachute much lower to the ground than somebody that has it on. Now, real quick, if you guys learned something new today by the end of the video, or a new setting you guys didn't know, it would be much appreciated if you guys would like to subscribe down below, because we are getting closer and closer to 500,000 subscribers. Moving on to the graphics tab now. If you're on PC, make sure to always be playing in full screen exclusive mode. That is going to give you the most FPS for your monitor and your gaming PC. Where I showed you guys at the very beginning of the video to make sure that your refresh rate on your monitor in the Windows settings, make sure that that matches your monitor. This is where that comes into play. A lot of people are like, yo, Joe, I have a 240 hertz monitor, but it's capped at 60. Why does that happen? That is because you guys didn't change it in the Windows setting. Again, I have a 240 hertz monitor, so that is why it is on 240 hertz. Going through the settings here, there's not a ton that you guys need to know. I guess besides brightness, I kind of play on a higher brightness. During certain fights, if I lose a fight where I feel like I should have seen somebody, then I will bump that up or bump that down, and I kind of landed on around 65 is good for me. I also have my monitor's brightness on 100 if that helps you guys out too. Now going on to the quality tab in settings. Now, I know a lot of people have every single setting on very low to maximize frames, which is obviously very important. For me personally, I like to actually see kind of more a clearer game. I would like to be able to actually look really far, but actually kind of see what's in front of me, or see inside of buildings or shadows or things like that, because that can win you gunfights over just seeing a blurry screen to flex that you have 400 FPS. Alrighty, starting off, the default setting for the upscaling and sharpening is going to be on NVIDIA DLSS. Make sure that you guys change this to Fidelity FX CAS and max it out to 100. This also, before I changed the setting, was actually crashing my PC and things like that. And obviously it was making my game look more blurry until I changed it to Fidelity FX CAS and changed it to 100. Going on to the anti-aliasing, I have mine on Filmic SMAA T2X. That's what I used back in Warzone 1. I have mine on normal and then all the way down to 50. I have a lot of people say, Joe, my game feels framey, I feel laggy, I feel things like that. Try this setting, and this may actually fix that problem because it fixed it for me. Now going down to my actual graphics tab, a lot of these settings are kind of pretty self-explanatory. I'll stop on the ones that kind of I feel like are more important, but basically I would just copy these settings down and yeah. Now here, I am going to be stopping on two very important settings here. Make sure this comes as standard. This comes on-demand texture streaming as on. Make sure to turn this off. This can cause hitching, this can cause stuttering, because if not, your game will be trying to download new shaders while it's trying to download all this stuff, and playing it will just make your game feel very framey. One more important setting here again is the streaming quality. This comes stock and normal as low. Turn this to normal. It doesn't really have a big impact on your frames, but it makes your game, in my opinion, look a lot better. I'm gonna keep going down here. Here's another very important setting. I talked to a lot of my, PC tech gurus, and what a problem was with a lot of hitching was actually the spot catch, which means basically the light shadows and things like that. For whatever reason, this was causing problems for a lot of PCs. So everybody had theirs on low. If you actually change this to ultra or high, it can actually fix some of the stuttering and hitching issues in the game. Don't ask me why, don't ask me how, but it's helped my game out a lot. So definitely, if you guys are experiencing that, change this to ultra or high. Depth of field, make sure to turn that off as you're ADSing. It's gonna help you out a lot to see more of the picture and the person that you're aiming at. Motion blur, always have this off in any game, any FPS. Always turn off any motion blur, world motion blur or weapon motion blur. Always have that off. And then film grain, have that to 0, because that is just gonna kind of apply some noise in the game. It does come standard at 1, put that back down to 0, because it's gonna just kind of give you like a sharpening thing it just looks weird in the game if you have it at 1. Going on to the view tab here, round of applause out there. Congratulations to all my console players now who finally have FOV. I know that was the #1 complaint in Warzone 1. I would see about a kajillion comments on every video. Joe, tell Call of Duty to give us FOV. I'm like, I don't work for them. I'm sorry, but you guys got it now. Let me explain this real quick though, because I know a lot of people are gonna just quickly change that to 120, and I'm gonna tell you guys why that may not be the best. Having your FOV on 120 may not be helpful. I say that because with 120 FOV, character models are gonna be a lot smaller. So if you feel that your aim, that you don't have the best aim, nothing wrong with that at all, I would not put this on 120 FOV. When you are on a lower FOV, even though you can see more, the character models on those lower FOVs are gonna be much bigger. So that means if you were playing on 80 FOV and didn't have the best of aim, when you go to 120 FOV, the character models are actually going to get smaller because you can see more. So if you couldn't hit people that well on 80 FOV, I would kind of try 90, 100, 105, and not just crank it up to 120 just because everybody else does. The next thing, ADS field of view. This is very, very important also to have on affected. When you put it on independent, basically, when you ADS, it's going to zoom in your screen to your aim down sights. That obviously is not the best setting to have. One more setting they added in this year which actually new, which I like a lot, is going to be your weapon field of view. This comes standard as default, but I changed mine to wide, which means that, yeah, as you guys can see here, the weapon is going to look smaller on your screen. So again, I play on 120 FOV to the max, and then on a wide gun field of view. The last important setting on the view tab here is going to be your first person camera movement. This is basically motion blur, but kind of in a new setting. The default setting again is going to be on 100%. Just makes you motion sick in my opinion. Make sure to change this to least, which means that your camera movement is going to have the least kind of shake to it. Moving on to the audio tab, which right now in Warzone 2, I feel like shouldn't even be a tab because we have no audio. But I'll tell you guys my current audio mix that I have. I turn it on PC. I tried headphones and I tried headphone bass boost. It did not help at all. So I have mine on PC, which I think is the best. I have my master volume on 100. Obviously, this is going to be a little bit different depending on how loud people like to kind of have their game at, and also what kind of headset you have, what kind of earbuds that you have, things like that. I'm actually currently using earbuds. You guys can check those out down below. They've been better for me for long-term gaming because instead of having on a heavy headset and headset hair and all that kind of stuff, I've been actually trying out some earbuds and they've been pretty good for me so far. So I have my master volume on 100, music volume on 20, dialogue volume in game, and then I have the effects volume and hit marker volume all the way up. I will kind of run through here. Obviously, proximity chat, voice chat, one of my favorite features in the game. But yeah, that's pretty much my graphic settings. Sorry, audio settings. Audio settings right now, and audio in general in the game is just, I feel like, at an awful place. So, all right, going on to the interface tab here, a very important setting is going to be your mini map shape, which comes to round as standard. Make sure to change this to square because you can actually see more of your map. One more important thing here that I know a lot of people ask too, like, Joe, how is your FPS on the screen? This is for my PC people. Go down to telemetry here, change this to custom, and then you can see all these things here to turn on. All this stuff like clock, processor, all this stuff I have off because that would just take up too much of my top bar. But I have on my FPS, which is important, server latency, which is going to be how your ping to the server, and then packet loss, which is if you're getting packet loss to the server to know if you're lagging or not. That is going to wrap up our Warzone 2 settings video. I hope you guys learned something new. If you guys aren't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace! With all that being said, dude,